Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rachaa Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Another Gospel, False Prophet Elder Rachaa of the GOCC. And pretty much the inspiration for this video is coming through a couple of videos that I saw. One with Elder Pastor called Edomite European Controversy, and the other with Elder Apostle Gabar, reproving and rebuking Elder Rachaa, the GOCC, an apologist for Esau, and that's exactly what he is. But before I get started, I just wanted to say that Elder Pastor just went live, or actually did a premiere, and on the book of 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter, which the brother Bakwar from the Men of Valor camp asked me if I could go through the breakdown of the first, few verses, first 5, 6, 7 verses, something like that. And I told him, Lord's will, but honestly, I totally forgot about it. But the Spirit, the Spirit jumped on Elder Pastor to break it down. But we did tell him that, to read, Pastor said Habakkuk, and then he said, what chapter? I believe I said chapter 2, or Pastor said chapter 2. One of us said it. And, pretty much forgot about it, but the Spirit jumped on him to do the breakdown. So that's beautiful. So what we want to do is get into this individual, Elder Rachaa, which we call Bubba Light Blackfish from the GOCC, the false prophet, the man that's drunk, off of these different philosophies and religions, as the Elder Pastor called him, the Black Christian, and pretty much his whole argument is that Esau can be saved based off of Deuteronomy, the 23rd chapter and the 7th verse, which we've broken this down before through the Spirit. And it reads, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. So they get stuck on this. Now, first and foremost, let's say it's talking about an Edomite, which it's not, but for argument's sake, let's say it is. The word abhor does not mean to hate. The word abhor means to avoid, to abominate. Now, we were this way towards the Edomites when you read the history. When you go back to the womb of Rebecca, there was always a struggle and a fight between those two boys because they were going to be enemies for life. So it makes sense that this is not talking about an Edomite because there's that animosity, and it's always been that way. It makes sense that it's really speaking about an Aramean or a Syrian, because you had Abraham's family, you had his one of his brothers that died, and then he had the other brother that lived in that region. And those are the ones that, when the nation was still small, the men that would later on become Israelites went to take wives from them. We did a breakdown on this years ago. And Lord's will, the Spirit jumps on me. We've even in recent years, brothers go over this and have gone through this. But if the Spirit jumps on me, Lord's will, I go into it again and just take it from there. So, a couple of scriptures that popped in my head, and I wanted to just, use those precepts, and Lord's will, the lesson to be edifying, because there's no way that Esau is going to be saved. It's not in the scriptures. The gospel, the truth, the law, statutes, commandments were only given to the nation of Israel. When the kingdom is established, these nations will be forced to keep our law, statutes, and commandments. But that's it. They're not going to be perfect. The laws are not going to be written in their inward parts. They're not going to receive salvation as the Israelites received salvation. After they serve their punishment, of course, they're going to go back to their lands. But the land of Esau is going to be given to Judah, because Esau every last one of them devils is going to be wiped off the planet. You know, because that nation was set up just for the purpose of the wicked. And what did the Lord say in Proverbs 16:4? That the wicked, matter of fact, let's get that real quick before we get this other precept. Proverbs 16:4. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. And when we go to Malachi, the 1st chapter, the 4th verse, it tells us that Esau, they are the wicked. And the Lord just said that the Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So who the hell are you to tell the Most High different? Here it is. He created the wicked to be destroyed. The Bible identifies Esau as the wicked. It also identifies him as the people upon whom the Lord hath indignation forever. But here it is. You're gonna have this bubble-eye false prophet, another gospel preaching individual, talking about that there's going to be a couple of them that accept Christ, and they're going to be, saved in the kingdom of heaven. Man, you must have lost your mind. So let's go real quick to the book of Romans 9:22, the main point. It says, what if because when you read up above this, the Apostle Paul was going down through the history, showing you that only the nation of Israel was to be delivered. Only the nation of Israel was to receive salvation. And he even said right here I started at 6th verse, not as though the word of the Most High have taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. So what did this mean? This meant that just because an individual is an Israelite, that doesn't make them a part of the elect, because only the elect in this time will be sealed and saved. Then it goes on to say, neither because they are the seed of Abraham, because Abraham had many seeds. And when you go back into the history, before we read on, we go back to Genesis 25 and 5. It says, and Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. Why? Because Isaac was the next son in line of the promise. That's why you always hear about the fathers of the promise: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Nobody else. The line stopped at Jacob. So the Lord said, and Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts. Gave him many gifts, because they were still his sons. He still loved them. And sent them away from Isaac his son. Why? We read in Galatians, the 4th chapter, that Isaac was the son of the promise. He was the son of the free woman. Ishmael, which was Abraham's firstborn, is a son of the bondwoman. He is not, the one that would receive the blessing, the promise. So while he yet lived eastward into the east country, so he gave Isaac his blessing, his inheritance, and he gave the concubines children, gifts and all of that, but he sent them away from his son Isaac. Why? Because those children were not going to be heirs with the nation of Israel. And Isaac was about to, when he got married later on, he got a wife named Rebekah, and they had 2 children, twins, Jacob and Esau. And this is what we read in here in the book of Romans. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Why? Because down that line, that's where the chosen line was going to end up at. It says, that is, they which are the children of the flesh, meaning that came out of the loins of Abraham, like the other, the son of Hagar, Ishmael, and the other sons of Keturah. They which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of the Most High. I mean, how much plainer does it have to get? You know, how much plainer does it have to get? The Apostle Paul was inspired directly by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So how much plainer does it have to get? It says, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. That's why you have the fathers of the promise, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Esau has no part in that. The only part that Esau has to play in it is he's the wicked. He's going to receive his judgment, and afterwards he will be destroyed. And it's not talking about his cornfields. Because as you heard Elder Pastor break it down in the scriptures, that land is going to be given to Judah. So how the hell are you going to destroy the land that's going to be given as an inheritance to the tribe of Judah? Because land is money. Land is, power. So now when we jump down, it continues on that Isaac had two sons, and out of the two sons, which was Jacob and Esau, the Lord loved Jacob and he hated Esau. And pretty much he was going into how you had a vessel unto honor and a vessel unto dishonor from the same lump. Right here, verse 21, had not the potter power over the clay? Who's the potter? The Most High. Who's the clay? Jacob and Esau. Of the same lump. Who's the lump? Isaac. To make one vessel unto honor, Jacob, and another unto dishonor, Esau. What if the Most High, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? Because we know that this is talking about Esau. They were tailor-made for destruction. There's all kinds of precepts that go into that. And we know that Esau would be ruling in the last days when Yahushua comes back with the angels and the chariots. For what? To be taken down. It's the final empire of the Gentiles that would be ruling when Yahushua comes back. And once this empire goes down, it's over. Ain't nobody got next except for Yahushua and the joint heirs of the nation of Israel that would be joint heirs with him. I don't know what Bible these guys are reading, but this is why the Apostle Paul said that it's not another. They're teaching another gospel. It's not another. It's the same Bible they're using, but they're perverting the gospel. And as he said, because we watched the video on the way down to camp, he said that this is something that he believed 25 years ago. Now he's teaching some bugged out sorcery. So now let's go from there. Let's go to the original scripture I was going to get. This is Micah, the 4th chapter. I'll start at 11. Now also many nations are gathered against thee. And we read the whole list where? Psalms 83rd chapter. That say, let her be defiled and let our eyes look upon Zion. Because that's what they want. They want to keep us down perpetually. It says, but they know not the thoughts of the Lord, neither understand they his counsel. And this is the same thing with Bubble Eyes, the false prophet Elder Rachaa from the GOCC. Yep, he was quick to pull Deuteronomy 23 and 7 and know damn well that that's been handled already, been broken down. He knows that because he watched the videos in the past. But they know not the thoughts of the Lord, neither understand they his counsel, just like the false prophets. For he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Who's the they? Who's the them that the Lord is going to gather? These different nations. And as you heard him, he said that vengeance belongs to the Lord, which is true. But the Lord is going to use the nation of Israel to lay their hands and their vengeance upon these Edomites. So it says, arise and thresh. Let's look up this word, thresh. Man, arise and thresh. That doesn't sound too good. Dawash. To tread out, thresh, like when you stomping grapes. stomp him in the midsection, to tread on, trample on, thresh, to be trampled down, to be threshed. You're going to get steamrolled over. Inside joke. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion. So the Lord has given a command to the nation of Israel, to arise and to thresh, to beat down, to stomp. For I will make thine horn iron. Your power is going to be like iron. And I will make thy hoofs brass. And thou shalt beat in pieces many people. And I will consecrate their gain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. So these different nations are going to get their ass beat. Especially the number one demon heathen on the planet, Esau. Dr. Demento. That's the original Dr. Demento. The devil that will destroy the earth himself along with it because of his greed and the lush and the lush for power. All right, so now let's move on to the next one. Let's go to Psalms, the second chapter. Psalms chapter 2. Let's go straight to the point. 2 and 8. I started at 7. I will declare the decree the Lord hath said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. This is dealing with Yahushai. He said, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. So the heathen, the other nations, are going to be slaves, inheritance. It says nothing about them accepting Christ, the other white meat that is he's talking about, and being able to be in the kingdom, and just be good old little Edomites, honorary Edomites. The demon heathen con. It says, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession, and this is what's given to Yahushai. And we being joint heirs with him is going to be given to us. Lord's will we make it out of here. Then it goes on to say, thou, meaning Yahushai, and the ones that get this possession, that get the heathen as an inheritance, thou shalt break them. Who? The inheritance with a rod of iron. What Bible is this guy reading? What Bible is this guy reading? And then he had the nerve to quote the Septuagint. When the Septuagint goes off. Now, there's certain times where there's certain things in it that I go to every once in a while to reference just to make a point. But that thing is off. It's off. It says, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Come on, man. Ain't all the heathens. When you go back to the law says that the servants that we're going to have are going to be of the other nations. Of them we can take. But he says, if your brother falls in decay and pretty much becomes a servant unto you, he's not to be treated with rigor or ruled over with rigor. He's not to be treated like you would treat, your other slaves of the other nations, because he is your brother. All right, so they're going to be beaten in pieces. Now let's go from there to the link up in the book of Revelation 2, and we're going to start at 25. See, his problem is that, first and foremost, he's not part of the elect, and the Lord blinded him, pretty much. He took that bag, and that's that. This is Revelation 2:25. But that which you have already hold fast till I come, which he did not. He said that's something I believed 25 years ago, which means he cast the whole thing out. The only thing he holds on to is a 12 tribe sign, which he even altered that to show you how much of a demon that guy is. He even altered the 12 tribe sign, kept the 12 tribe sign, which was taught, and given through the Spirit to High Priest Rachaa, and he still uses the sign. But he threw away the doctrine. Man, these false prophets are unbelievable. So it says, but that what you have and this is why this same phrase in different ways is repeated throughout the scriptures. In other words, to hold on to what you've learned in the past, and know who you have learned it from, as you have been taught, so on and so forth. Because it's like the Apostle Peter said, the Apostle Paul, the time is going to come when they will not endorse sound doctrine. And even the Apostle Peter said that there's going to be false teachers among you. Well, actually, he said it in so many ways. The Apostle Paul said it also. Yahushua said it, that there was going to be false prophets. So it should be no mystery, or it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, because it's written. So it says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Just like Yahushua received that, as we just read in Psalms, the 2nd chapter. And he shall rule them with a what? Rod of iron, dealing with the nations. Esau being at the head of that. And none of these nations are going to be able to receive salvation, because the salvation was never open to them. Their only job that they were supposed to do is what? Be servants. Play the position of a servant. That's what you're supposed to do. That's it. It says, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers. That don't sound good to me. And this is going to happen to all of them, especially the Edomites. Even as I received of my father. So he received this, and he gave it to us that are joint heirs. And Lord's will, we make it out of here. But we're joint heirs with the Lord. It says, and I will give him the morning star. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Because everybody has ears upside their head, but not everybody can perceive and understand this truth and this message. All right. Now let's go from there to the book of Lamentations, chapter 4. And we're going to start at 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. Yeah, live it up. And is that Isaiah 47 or Revelation 18? How she has lived so glorious, so deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. If a brother don't mind, putting that up on the comment board, if you can, Babakusha. So it says, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. Whoop it up. Live it up. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. It says that dwellest in the land of Uz, the cup also shall pass through unto thee. What is the cup? The cup of slavery. And you're going to be forced to drink it down. There ain't going to be nothing that you could do to get around it. I don't give a damn how many times you have this big bubble-eyed individual that jumps up and tries to, put in a good word for you. It ain't going to work. It won't work. It won't work. Proverbs 11:21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. All right. The water to the brothers. A few brothers put it up. I'm just going to grab the first one here. It says, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Ultimately, that's speaking about America being destroyed, but also the rulers of America, which are who? Esau, the Edomites, which are the modern day Babylonians. We're going to go back to Lamentations. Let's go to Psalms 137:7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, meaning throw it down completely, even to the foundation thereof, because they had a seething hatred for us. And they still do. All right. It says, O daughter of Babylon. So this is the Most High speaking about the Edomites and calling them the daughter of Babylon, because they are the modern day Babylonians today, who are to be destroyed, because their future is what? Destruction. There's no coincidence that the Lord calls them here in the book of Isaiah 34. We could start at the 5th verse. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, which is the Greek way of saying Edom, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So these are the people of the Most High's curse to judgment. They're cursed with leprosy, but they're also cursed to be destroyed. Like the scriptures say, what if the Most High willing to make his power known, endure with much long suffering, the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. You look up this word curse, is from the Hebrew word charam. It means a thing devoted, thing dedicated, banned, devotion. A net thing perforated, have been utterly destroyed, utter destruction. Right, so they're devoted for what? For destruction. And they're also cursed with skin disease called leprosy. That's why the Lord said that he set them in slippery places, because no matter what they do, they're still going to be destroyed. There's nothing they can do. They're going to be destroyed. That's why it says, Psalms 137:8, O daughter of Babylon, you Edomites, who art to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. So all you got to do is go back to the history of Esau, see what he did. You can see it all throughout. All throughout. You know, anywhere where this devil has gone, he has left nothing but misery, sorrow, death behind. So guess what? That's what he's going to get. He's going to get it from us. He's going to get it from the nations. And eventually, after his ass gets tore to hell down and he pays for all the shit that he's done, then he's going to be rounded up, him, his demonic woman, his demonic children, and burnt up. And that'll be the end of the Edomites, the end of the wicked. It says, happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. That's payback. Oh, we only know the things that are documented of the atrocities that these devils have committed. We don't know the half. These are just things that are, that are written and documented that we know about. But there's many other things that have happened, that we don't know about. Many other atrocities that haven't been written, that haven't been spoken about, that lay silent, that lay dormant. But the Lord said that the earth is going to disclose her blood. It's not going to hide that anymore. And you best believe they're going to pay to the last, to the last drop. Now let's go from there to the book of Obadiah. I'm going to go straight to the point. I'll just go here to the 14th verse, because they helped the Babylonians destroy us. It says, neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. You show no pity. What does scripture say in James? You shall have judgment without mercy. They have what? Show no mercy. So you show no mercy, expect no mercy. Salaki, brothers. All right, so the day of the Lord and what? The future. The day of the Lord and the future. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, because they're going to be judged. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. What have they done? or just look at the history. The slavery, the land thefts, the murders, the rapes, the splitting up of families. I mean, just in general, everything that they've done. That's what they got to look forward to. Let's go real quick to Exodus 21 and 16. And he that stealeth a man, did they not steal our people? And selleth him, did they not sell him? Did they not sell us? Or if he be found in his hand, are we not found in his hand? We're still slaves, contractual slaves, but still slaves. He shall surely what? Be put to death. So you laid your hand on the wrong people, Esau. Let's go to Zechariah 1 and 15. It says, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. So what do you think is going to happen? When you read Isaiah, the 34th chapter, the reason why the Lord is bringing that great sacrifice on this altar of America, as Elder Pastor calls it, there's a reason for it. All right, I'm trying to see if I can find. Here it is. Isaiah 34 and 8. For it is a day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. So the Lord got a bone to pick with you, Esau, for what you did to his children, the Israelites. And now you got to pay, dog. For the day of the Lord is near upon all heathen, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. That's why it says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. This is the patience and the faith of the saints. I got to read a couple of these. These are good. This is Psalm 7:16. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. That's right. Genesis 9 and 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of the Most High made he him. That's right. So Esau, you got a lot to pay for, man. You got a lot to pay for. All right, so returning back to Obadiah 1:16, it says, for as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, how have they drunk upon us? By putting us in captivity and every other thing that they did. So shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Because when you're in slavery, you do not exist. You're just a prop. You're just property. The one that's important is the master. Just like when you had our people in slavery, you were the master, you were lauded and praised, and the slaves were nothing. They were just, they were just there. It's like they didn't even exist. The Lord even said that we wouldn't even be recognized among the nations. That's why everybody on the planet can be an Israelite except for us. You had a documentary a while back, The Naked Archaeologist. I believe it was The Naked Archaeologist. And they were going to Moabites. They were going to, different nations around the world, saying that they were the tribe of this, and this was the tribe of that, and that was the tribe of this. But not once did they mention any real Israelites in there. Because the whole world can be an Israelite, but we can't. That's how much disdain these nations have for us. But that's okay. Because you're going to drink it down. You're going to be forced to drink it. It says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. That's talking about the slaves, and it's talking about the lands. And eventually, after these nations serve their captivity, Esau will be burnt up, and these other nations will receive their lands and be able to govern among themselves, but they'll still be tributary to us. But the land of Esau, Edom, is going to be given to Judah. It says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, because they're going to be stubble. They're going to be kindled They're gonna be the kindling wood. It says, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. Not the land, them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, because you had the house of Jacob, that was going to be the fire, the house of Joseph, that was going to be the flame, and the house of Esau, that's going to be what? The stubble. And there shall be none remaining of the house of Esau. Has nothing to do with the land. For the Lord has spoken it, and they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau. Who's that? Judah. And they of the plain, the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And go on and on and on. Now, let's go back to Lamentation 4:21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. It's time for you to drink. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked, because you will drink of that cup. You don't want to drink it, but you're going to have to drink it, my man. Jeremiah 49:12. For thus saith the Lord power, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. That was us. Because we're royalty. We weren't supposed to drink of that cup, but we drank of it. And art thou he that shall... Salaka for a moment. All right, Salaki for that. I had to take that call. So it says, for thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. And that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to drink of it. Let's go to Nahum 1. We're almost done. Nahum 1 and 3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Who are the wicked? The Edomites. Read the first chapter of Malachi. They're the wicked. He's not going to acquit them. You're going to drink. So it says, thou shalt be drunken. It's back in Lamentation 4:21. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He, the Edomites, will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. That's why the first people that Yahushua is coming to visit is who? The Edomites. Isaiah 34, Isaiah 34, Isaiah 63. You're going to be the first nation on the list. And matter of fact, thanks to whoever put this up, beautiful. This is Edom, in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. All nice and highlighted and everything. Nice, clear picture. It says, Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures as a scene of great future judgments. See notably Isaiah 34 and 5 and 6 and Isaiah 63 and 1. She is the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not given any promise of mercy from the Most High. Because these scholars that put this together, after studying and going through all the precepts of Edom, Esau, they came to the conclusion that this nation will not receive any mercy. Other nations were promised mercy, but this nation would not have any mercy. And the last precept I have, real quick, we're going to read 2 Chronicles. This is like little extra, 25 and 11. It says, and Amaziah, which was a king in Judah, strengthened himself and led forth his people and went to the valley of Salt and smote of the children of Seir 10,000. Wait a minute. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. Right? No. King David and Joab and them, they went down to Edom and slaughtered every male in Edom. And King David means beloved. David means beloved. He was the beloved of the Most High. It says, and other 10,000 left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive. And this is why they have such an hatred. When you go to Ezekiel 25, you go to Ezekiel 35, this is why they have such a perpetual hatred for us. Because they know the history. And other 10,000 left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive, and brought them unto the top of the rock, and cast them down from the top of the rock, that they all were broken in pieces. So they were throwing them off of mountains and watching them splatter at the bottom. But I thought, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. Now this king, after he did this, after he saw that the Lord delivered the Edomites into his hands, turned around and worshiped their idol, their god, Quaz. And the Most High ended up destroying them. I don't really remember all the particulars, but you could read the whole chapter for yourself. So much for thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, which the word abhor doesn't mean hate, but when you look it up online, it tells you it means hate. It doesn't mean hate. It means to avoid someone, to have him as an abomination. And that's not talking about the Edomites. It's talking about the Syrians, the line of Abraham's brothers, Well, actually, the line of Abraham's brother, because the other brother that died, he only had one son, I believe that was Lot, which Abraham took under his wing. So he would be considered one of the ones that we're not supposed to abhor or avoid. All right. So with that, I pray that your brothers and your few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.